Every time I tell myself that screaming from your soul. We watch it fall. Now you come to walk on. Come on, set your light through. Just set your light through before we're only whispers in the
Will you follow me when the sky starts to change? Yeah, we won't be afraid. We'll never be the same again.
we won't
Hello, all you weebs, and welcome to Grappling with the Week, the show that brings you the hottest wrestling news and the highlights from the steamy kitchens of the wrestling community. We talk about it all and give you a big discussion piece to truly satisfy that hunger of wrestling content. Brought to you by Anime Studio and hosted by your weebs of the ring. Let's stop a mud hole this week and get right into the action. I, as you guys know, am the genius of the mat. Drop this box. Here to give you guys some knowledge on the wrestling space when it comes to everything surrounding the community itself, because we did have a lot of discussion pieces to discuss this week. So you're definitely going to get an action-packed show tonight, because we did not have episode 26 last week. We were having it this week, but we do have a good show in store for you guys. So should look forward to that. But I'm not alone tonight. I have our world champion of the world. You guys know him as Watkins. How you doing, Watkins?
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and ignorant children of the idols, what is up? What is good? It is, of course, your world champion Watkins here to, talk about some things that went on this past week in the old wrestling sphere and all that. Joined, of course, by my tag team partner of Sydney here. She wanted to greet everybody here at the beginning of the show, but yeah, I'm excited to kind of talk about a few things. A couple things I think we're gonna be kind of diving into a little bit when it comes to like a certain contract that ran out and certain rumors of um counter productions and all that. Like, yeah, it's gonna be a fun time tonight, I think. So I'm excited to kind of get into some of this.
Definitely, for sure. We have a lot of stuff to talk about, especially when it comes to a big piece that happened with Karrion Kross that we will dive into a little bit later. But we might as well just jump into the news, because we definitely have some things to talk about for sure, some mysteries, a lot of things to get off our chest when it comes to what's currently going on. And this is pretty much what we call this segment the greater wrestling media, where we pretty much use this segment for any highlight from any indie promotion we went to, news we wanted to discuss, interesting documentaries or interviews from the week, and anything else in the grand scale of professional wrestling. And we're gonna talk about the whole status on Naomi first, because Naomi's injury is currently a mystery. We don't know what caused it. We don't know if it's going to extend anything, because we do know the match between her and Stephanie Becker is taking place at Clash in Paris. We don't know if she's going to be there for that exact match. We don't know if they're going to have to reschedule something or whatever, or I'm not saying this is going to happen, but potentially vacating the championship if it is something severe. We don't know, but I'm hoping we get some sort of update sooner or later, because we only heard about it on Monday. Her and Io were supposed to have a match that ended up getting scrapped, and we ended up getting something else where it was a match between her and Roxanne instead. But I'm just gonna pass it to you, Watkins. How do you feel about this? Like, any questions?
Yeah, like I think the biggest question is just like, what it is. And I mean, the rumor mill going around the old interwebs here of the IWC seems to be she might be pregnant or
Oh,
something around that line. Because there were a couple of interviews. I apologies everybody, I forgot what interview she was. 'Cause she was on one with Jimmy recently where she had actually said something along the lines of that right now, currently, it would actually be really good for her to get pregnant because there's enough talent on the roster to where it would be fine. Like, she wouldn't be heavily missed at this point. I mean, granted, she would be, but like, there's enough talent on the roster to really make up for her loss,
yeah.
not being there and all that. So, if that's the case, I mean, congratulations if that is. But I mean, it's very weird that we just haven't heard anything this whole week about it. Like, I don't know if they're waiting until Monday to announce it, like the whole like Becky Lynch version of it when she got pregnant and gave Asuka the title, or like what's going to happen? But it's really going to put that title up in a bit of a almost in a limbo kind of status, because it's like, okay, what do they do with it? Do they just vacate it? Do they just like do a tournament again? We love our tournament arcs and all that, yeah, I don't know what they're gonna do if they have to vacate it, because yeah, the last report I saw come out say that yeah, she's gonna be gone for a hot minute. She's gonna be gone for a bit. So I mean, I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Maybe we'll find out tomorrow night on SmackDown, or hopefully at the latest on Monday, because yeah, we're not too far away from that Clash in Paris, and her match with Stephanie Verker supposed to be happening there. We need to figure out what we're doing for that, like sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I'd honestly say if
But
like push
yeah,
comes to shove, really, if they want to give Stephanie the title or something, I'm not opposed to it. She would give that title
mm-mm.
credibility instantly. She's earned it.
Yeah,
I'm not sure how she will earn it unless it's just vacated, and since she still is a number one contender, they have like a little number one contenders match or whatever, and then her and who else
hmm
fights over it, and whoever wins the match ends up getting the title at that PLE or whatever. But I mean, I would definitely give it to her if they're thinking of any names to really carry the division right now, because if they do hypothetically go down that direction, we already know that Rhea's involving herself with Io. There's currently a storyline brewing right there
yeah,
when it comes to the drama surrounding the Kabuki Warriors, specifically like Io and Asuka, because of what's currently going on with them. Rhea's inserting herself into that. So you could already like take out those group of girls when it comes to them not
hmm
really being involved in the title picture. So if you really and Becky Lynch is obviously now having some sort of thing with Nikki Bella. I would assume that's probably going to be a match at Clash in Paris too. So it's like she's already
yeah,
doing something. A lot of the names you think of on the top of your head, they're already doing something. And then there's some there that's been involved in the title picture for a little bit. So maybe it's best for them to take a little break until they're ready to do it again. But yeah, if hypothetically that's a thing that happens, I mean, like I said, I wouldn't be opposed to having her as our Raw Women's Champion on SmackDown, because I mean, hey, that would be pretty nice for her considering she hasn't been up there for that long. And then,
hmm
when Mania season comes around, you have her watching the Rumble and stuff like that. Would actually be pretty exciting.
yeah. Oh yeah, it would be. And I think the other shout out I want to bring out too with this is the fact that, because like on Monday we had Asuka turn heel, and apparently, and this actually came from PW Insider,
Yeah.
that the whole Asuka heel turn was actually supposed to be happening later on in the year. Like
Yeah.
they were actually going to slow burn this. And because of this, the nature of whatever's going on with Naomi, they hot shotted that angle. So that's why we got what we got on Monday with Asuka and Kyrie, kind of costing Io that match. So I'm wondering, because that's the thing, Raw's going to be missing a top heel in the women's division, especially in that world title picture. And I mean, Asuka's not a bad shout for that either. Like, I mean, she had just gotten back too, and with her in a heel persona and going up against Io, well, yes, please for one. And I mean, her and Stephanie Vaquer as well, like also yes, please. But yeah, I mean, I would be fine with whatever woman just ended up becoming the women's world champion at that point, because there are some strong contenders on Raw that I would love to see hold that title for a bit.
Yeah, definitely for sure. The next
Yeah.
thing we want to touch on is the current status with Samoa Joe, because we actually have an update surrounding him having a fractured ankle during a recording of Twisted Metal season 2, which I haven't seen, by the way. I don't know if it's good or not or anything.
hmm
I haven't really seen it. I know what Twisted Metal is because it was on the PlayStation. I used to play it as a kid, but I never watched the show. I don't always have time to watch all these shows. But this is
Yeah.
coming from PW Insider when it comes to the report that we're about to discuss. It says right here, Samoa Joe has revealed that he fractured his ankle during filming for Twisted Metal Season 2. Halfway through the season, I fractured my ankle. Nothing crazy. We had done a series of pretty crazy driving stunts and some dangerous things here and there. Then it was just parking, and I had to hop out of the back on some really rocky, busted up ass splat. I turned my ankle and spent the rest of the season taping it up and limping through it. Yeah, I understand how that feels when it comes to, rolling your ankle or whatever it is. It's not a pretty situation because it does take some time to move around and everything. It affects your mobility and all that stuff. So I definitely understand that. And especially like that, especially your body weight having that impact on the ankle itself, that also doesn't help. So it's like, I mean, I'm hoping he gets better soon because he's one of the best they got there in AEW right now when it comes to like people that are legit shit over there. So I'm hoping that he'll be fine because he's definitely like one of my favorites, and I just wish nothing for the best for him there. Mm-mm-mm-mm. Oh, Watkins, you're muted.
That's why. Sorry. I was checking to make sure I sounded fine on the stream. I guess I forgot to unmute myself right there. Yeah, I was just saying how crazy it is with like how they do all these crazy stunts and all that.
Yeah.
And because this immediately reminded me of Adam Cole, what happened to him during the MJF storyline going on. Because it's just like, oh, the simplest things end up injuring them for a bit. But at least Joe was able to finish recording and doing what he needed to do for Twisted Metal, and it didn't really hamper his in-ring work, I guess. So good on you, dude. So just glad you're still around, because as Drop said, you're one of the best things AEW has right now,
Yep.
and that's saying a lot.
Definitely is
Even though I
saying
love Joe.
that definitely is saying a lot, especially when it comes to our next discussion when it comes to contract negotiations, which I can't lie, it's fun talking about them every so often because we're always curious who's heading where when somebody becomes a free agent. But we have this report talking about Kota Ibushi signing a 2-year deal with AEW. So I don't watch AEW on a regular basis, and if I do, I catch it every once in a blue moon. If not, I either watch a podcast of a wrestling content creator that I watch, or I hear it from Watkins when it comes to his thoughts on it and everything. But I do know who Kota Ibushi is. Just like if you throw Kenny Omega on like Twitter one day or whatever it is, like you just know these kind of people's names. But we have a news report right here from Kota Ibushi himself. This is actually coming from Instagram, saying that he revealed that he signed a new 2-year contract with AEW, and that's pretty cool because I mean, there's still some stuff there him and Kenny can do together, or any new storylines that we'll actually touch on a little bit later when it comes to a comment surrounding that. But yeah, what's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, it's gonna be good that he's gonna be with AEW for a little bit longer, working that contract and all that. And yeah, when it comes to him working the show and all that, working these shows, yeah, I I don't remember. I'll have to look at the document again. I don't know if I mentioned anything regarding Forbidden Door or not, but a big cage match got announced for Forbidden Door where him and Kenny are involved, and I'm kind of nervous about it because a lot of these people in this cage match are very much injured or have said that they are injured. Like, oh, I don't know, Will Ospreay can barely turn his neck apparently. Kenny Omega lost all of his guts. Tanahashi, I mean, the dude has no knees apparently. Yeah, it's gonna be an interesting Forbidden Door, but that's a whole other topic for a whole other day. Kota Ibushi, just gonna be glad to see him on screen, and he's got work here in America, which is also good.
It's good. What also is good as
Yeah.
well is that we got Daddy Magic himself, Matt Menard, where he signed a new 5-year deal for AEW, and the source from this is coming to Fightful, where it says right here that Matt Menard has signed a new contract with All Elite Wrestling, with Daddy Magic signing a new 5-year deal with the organization. So I know I've heard of the name Daddy Magic. I'm not like super familiar with it or anything, but
Mhm.
I don't know if you have any thoughts to say about it. I don't want to sugarcoat it or
So
anything.
yeah, I mean, yeah, that's the thing. It's just like just another name to be like, yeah, you're on the roster for a little bit longer. I think he's done a lot more backstage stuff in AEW compared to like on-screen stuff. I know he's been doing a lot with Daniel Garcia and kind of helping him move along in his career and all that. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, it'll be good to have him on the books. And yeah, I don't have anything else really on that subject. Like that one was really more of a hey, here's another name for it, because I think yeah, looking at our document. Oh, the next one's the big one. Next one is the big talking point when it
Yeah.
comes to contracts, everybody.
Yeah, this definitely this is why I included it in our title tonight, because we were
Mhm.
gonna talk about this last week. Obviously, things happen. You weren't able to do the episode, which tends to happen. That's just how life is.
Yeah.
And we wanted to talk about Karrion Kross when it comes to the current situation with him, because there's just a lot of things surrounding this when it comes
Mhm.
to the whole talking point of Karrion Kross. So I'm not gonna like beat the bush or anything. I'm just gonna dive into it right now. But it says right here that Karrion Kross is out of WWE, and this is coming from Cultaholic. But again,
Mhm.
going back to what I said, Karrion Kross is out of WWE, and according to Kross himself, it is 100% legitimate, with Kross having rejected a new contract offer. Kross exited WWE upon the expiration of his contract on August 10th, with reports noting the exits of Kross and wife Scarlett are legit, although there are some suggestions the situation could be elaborate work. Appearing on the Ariel Helwani show, Kross noted he was not appearing in character and was speaking about his exit as a shoot after turning down a new contract offer from WWE. I never actually received a contract offer until last week, Kross said. I got the offer. I want to know how they came to the validation of that offer. Just wanted some information, some metrics. When I inquired about that, they were unwilling to provide that information. Told me I had 24 hours to agree to the offer, or they were reconsidering it. So the next day we talk. I asked if they have the information. They don't. They don't. And I said I can't make an informed decision without the information, and I like to keep the dialogue open. Pro Kross signs were recently confiscated at W Live Events, Kross and Scarlett accepting independent bookings in the wake of their exits, again reaffirming that the situation was totally genuine. And Kross said the following: I'm not trying to turn this into a game. It's not a game for me. It's my life. I'm very big on loyalty, but loyalty is a two-way street. I'm very interested in trying to recover what I think is easy recoverable, but it takes two people to come together and talk about it. I'm still here. People don't want to reach out because they're not sure if they're tampering and stuff like that. The goal's always been to work with WWE. My wife and I still want to be with WWE. I'm still at the table for conversations. I do not want to sit out of the conversation, said Kross. So when it comes to this current situation, when it comes to what is currently going on with Karrion Kross, it's definitely pretty interesting, because I mean, this is a question that we had for quite some time when it comes to the current status of Karrion Kross. We didn't really know what was going on with him. We didn't really know if they were going to do anything about the contract, because that was a topic of conversation in terms of, what was going on with him. He's getting the reaction that they always wanted. They're not doing anything. Like, what's really going on here? And like, honestly, the way I look at it, I mean, yes, he wanted to do things with WWE. Yes, he wanted to make a career out there. Obviously, that's always the end game goal. when it comes to a lot of things there. But the way I personally look at it is if he's not getting treated properly and things aren't really heading down the direction, even though you're getting the reaction that they wanted you to get originally, I personally don't see the reason to still be there. I just honestly at that point think it's just a giant waste of time. And
Yeah.
just to me, it just seems like if you want to go back and do something on the indies, go to AEW, do this or that, maybe you have the chance over there. I mean, there's also a part of me thinking maybe there's some stuff he wants to do that WWE doesn't necessarily always do all the time. Maybe AEW give him more leverage with that. So I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest if there is some conversations with AEW, because Tony Khan's always out there trying to look for new people to add to his organization. So I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest if they tend to go over there and they tend to get over and people actually give a shit and stuff like that over there. And he gets into these hardcore matches or whatever he's trying to do. I mean, he could very well even be the leader of that new group with Buddy and all of them too, if that's an option, if they want to head down there when it comes to, how he is. I mean, heck, if him and Malachi were on the same show on SmackDown, I would assume they would probably eventually work together just because they just have similar vibes and everything. But thing is, and just breaking it down to the point, like I said, I personally I honestly feel like he should just look for work elsewhere. Like, yes, it sucks because this is the end game, but what are you gonna do?
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like looking at his words from all this, and I believe, it was also this interview. He told a story about that post WrestleMania interview he did. That was kind of a work shoot kind of thing. Fun fact: apparently, Triple H had no idea he was going to do that. Even though Cross, so according to Cross, he had said, he had told a couple people that this is what he was going to do, like the whole work shoot kind of thing. And apparently nobody told Triple H that. And so they had a meeting like shortly after that. He's just like, what the hell, dude? What's going on? And Cross had to explain it to him. And so there was that. But like the reason I mentioned that is because like there's this weird pipeline, it seems like, where Triple H may not be getting all this information that he should be getting. And I feel like that ties into a lot of these contract negotiations, because like part of what Cross wanted here was he wanted to know how they came up with like his value in the company. Like what are these metrics based off on? And I feel like that's a fair thing to ask. Like, hey, how did you come up with how much I am worth? Like you're talking about how much you yourself are worth, and not only himself but his wife too. Like there's part of this here where it's just like I'm sure he said, hey, me and my wife are kind of a package deal. We kind of do this together. We kind of support each other through it. If I'm signed, she's got to be signed, and if she's not signed, well, I mean, I can in good conscience sign myself because we are a package deal. Like without Karrion Kross, I mean without Scarlett, there's kind of no Karrion Kross. But that's been the concept that seems to have been dead since he's been in NXT.
Yeah, that's the thing though, because he really needs her in order to really like push himself, because it's like the thing about Kross is that he had the whole package. He had the look, he can cut a promo, he's decent in the ring and everything. He had a good entrance, he has the girl. That's practically everything you really need to be a successful superstar in the company. So he can't really say, oh yeah, I'm fine, and that she could do whatever herself and she could stay home and do whatever. I mean, she's a part of the character too, so wherever he goes, she goes pretty much, because they're in the business together. It's not like she's just following him on the road. Like she actually plays a pretty big part when it comes to him as a whole. So
like she's kind of part of the package here, and it kind of speaks wonders to how WWE treats some of these people. Like I think there was something that came out from again, take this with a grain of salt, but because the source was Meltzer and all that, but he had made a comment about how WWE does contracts nowadays. And honestly, like when you look at how like when certain news comes out with certain people, it kind of makes sense how they do it this way. So it's like the big name people, so like your Seth Rollinses, your CM Punks, all them, WWE will come to them like a few months before their contracts expire and be
Yeah.
like, hey, you guys want to re-sign with us? Let's talk about your new contract. I know we still have a few months before it lets out, but you know what? Let's start talks now. And then there's people like, in Karrion Kross's situation, and I want to say this happened to somebody else that was just this past year that ended up having their contract just run out. It might have been R-Truth, but that ended up kind of coming back and kind of biting WWE in the ass at the time.
Yeah.
But like, what they'll do is they'll wait until this last minute for the people that they don't really care about and be like, hey, you want to resign me? Here's a new deal. And the fact they gave him 24 hours to figure out what he wanted to do for the rest of his like 3 to 5 years of work. And who was to even say he would still be there in 3 to 5 years? Like, there was another thing we found out from Shayna Baszler. She signed an extension earlier, like for like about 3 more years on her contract, and they still let her go. So it's like that part is probably also another variable you got to think of too. It's just like, okay, yeah, I can sign this contract, but you guys can just let me go like a year from now and just lock me into a 90-day non-compete then, and I can't do shit. So yeah, I'm kind of on the board of Karrion Kross just like going somewhere else, like I know he feels like he's this good loyal soldier and all that, but like he says it right here in this interview, like it works both ways. Like communication works both ways, negotiation works both ways, and I mean they're open, like him and Scarlett are open to discussion and talk, but I don't think WWE is going to take the time to really sit there and talk to them and come up with a with a new deal. I don't think WWE, and it's sad to say this, I don't think WWE really gives a shit about Karrion Kross like that.
No, I don't think so. Like,
Yeah.
the thing is, it's like he had the potential to go and do something. I thought when he came back, Triple H had some plans for him. Doesn't really seem like things are really heading down that direction looking back at it. I mean,
Yeah.
confronting Roman, I thought was a pretty big deal that one night on SmackDown when him and Drew were having their thing, when Drew was beefing with Roman at that time for the world title and stuff, and then he inserted himself in the picture. He got a decent reaction there. A lot of people are hoping online that things would be better this time, considering it's under different management. But looking at how things are and looking at how things turned out in the end, I mean, like I said, it's probably just the best for him to just figure out exactly what he wants to do next, either the Indies or he wants to jump to AEW, do something over there, potentially TNA.
Yeah.
If he does want to have that sort of leverage of WWE again, he could go to TNA, but we'll just
I mean, I would honestly go to TNA if I was him, because like when it comes to AEW, they're, and again, this sounds very bad. this kind of sounds bad, but it's like with AEW, they're more of the in-ring style, like the in-ring quality compared to like the video packages and the promos and all that. And Karrion Kross, as good as he is with like the video packages and the promos, he's all right in the ring. Like he's nothing like too standoutish or too oh my god, he did this thing. He's just solid in the ring, which is fine to have, which is a good ability to have, but with AEW, with them just being how they are, I don't know if he would fit quite well over there. TNA though, I feel like he would be able to, because then he can still keep that door open for WWE and continue to kind of maybe hone his craft, maybe get a little better too, at least in ring, and improve as much as he can with that. But that's just me though, and well, we'll have to see where him and Scarlett end up, I think. But yeah, it's just so weird. It's such a weird situation to kind of look at, and to end up getting just told by the one party who's kind of living this right now. It's like, what does he do and how, because that's the thing. It sounds like he wants to stay with WWE. He wants to be loyal to them. But yeah, again, just kind of look at your own words, dude. Loyalty is a two-way street. See what happens, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So, and that's really all I've got right now. I mean, I just want to see him succeed. That's all I want, because he seems like a very good guy who knows his worth. Just he's got to be given the chance to, you know.
Yeah, I agree completely. Hopefully things get better for him in the end. And
Yeah.
now we're gonna transition to more news topics, because we talked about our injury corner, we talked about our contract negotiations and everything. Now we're gonna talk about Tony Khan, and he said something recently where he fires back on the idea that AEW has no stories, which is something that I admit I brought up before, and several other people
Mhm.
have brought up before, because sometimes people just look at it where it's just nonstop action and it just does this and that and whatever the case may be. So I'm not afraid to admit I am one of the people that have said that before. But
Yeah.
it says right here, Tony Khan, this is coming from Cultaholic, Tony Khan fires back against the perception there is a lack of stories in AEW. Critics of All Elite Wrestling point to perceive a lack of storytelling within the promotion, but AEW President Tony Khan has countered such claims. And he was speaking on Z100 New York Superstar crossover, and Khan defended AEW storytelling ability, saying the following: "I think the stories in AEW has been as strong as ever." Tony said. "I think the stories in AEW have been fast like this year, and we've been talking a long time about some of the greatest stories in AEW. And you even just said how fantastic you thought some of the storytelling around Jon Moxley's World Championship reign has been." Yeah, okay. People even question that aspect of it, and I think that was proven right. Whether you love them or not, nobody can question. There's a lot of storytelling in AEW. I think it's fantastic, and a lot of the fans who actually pay attention to it think it's great. There's people that would say that there's a lack, and I don't agree with this. I think it's untrue of stories in AEW. I don't think that's true at all, and it's really not only a misconception, but a falsehood that people spread. So, again, the only ones that really stood out to me as a reason, and it even says down here below, some of AEW's highest profile stories have fans acclaimed to be Hangman Adam Page and Kenny Omega, and Page and Swerve Strickland as well. So 2 stories that revolve around Hangman Page, which definitely tells a lot. But I mean,
Yeah.
I can't really disagree on the whole thing when it comes to people feeling that way, because it does feel like that sometimes, where it's like you throw things together, you expect them to stick and everything. And that's how it feels about, current things going on. Like, maybe not everything feels like that, but it feels like when it comes to, something you're trying to build, there's really not much effort there, whatever. It's just throwing it together, putting it on, moving on to the next week, etc., so on, leading up to your pay-per-view, and doing whatever there. I mean, AEW, WWE, like, sometimes falls in this category where it's like they feel too comfortable where they are, and then they end up not really pushing the needle as much. Like, we all thought this John Cena heel turn was going to be great and everything, and sure, it had its moments here and there, but from a storytelling perspective, not all of them have been great in terms of, John really portraying that character and it actually feeling organic rather than just, feeling forced and everything. So it's like that's basically like my personal opinion on the matter when it comes to, the article that we just discussed surrounding the situation.
Yeah. Yeah, so, like, for me at least, it's not necessarily a lack of story, because that's the thing. They do have, like, he's not wrong where it's like, "Oh yeah, we have tons of stories going on." I feel like the correct phrase should be, there's a lack of good stories. Because, like, there's only so many freaking all-star tag team matches you could do. There's only so many fatal 4-way for $100,000 that you could do to really be to really like be the kickstart of a singles feud. You know, like he keeps going down that well so many times. It's like, can we do something different? Can we do something more? You know, and I mean WWE falls into that trap too. Like you said, they'll get complacent. They'll do this, this, and this, you know, for countless months and weeks on end. I mean, hell, look back to freaking the summer of 2023 when we were getting Judgment Day versus Jay, Cody, Sammy, and Kevin in some sort of mix of a main event between all 8 of them and whatever. So it's like, just do something more, you know, like you reference the audacity he had to mention the storyline with Jon Moxley and the world title and the Death Riders. No, how dare you? You know that is the most criticized storyline you have going even now, because it's still freaking going and all that. Like, the fact you say, oh yeah, that's been a big story. No, the biggest part of that story was Hangman's part of all that. Like, he was the crux that kind of made the Death Riders thing tolerable. And guess what? That was near the end of Jon Moxley's freaking title reign right there. So you really can't say that, like, oh, we have all these stories. It's like, yeah, great. You know what? I have all these plushes too. Doesn't mean they're all good. Doesn't mean they're all like my favorite, which I mean, yeah, they could be my favorite, but that's besides the point, you know? It's like, or even better, I have a pantry full of food. I have all this food I could eat, you know? Is it all good food? Well, not all of it. You know, there's some cans of like cheap chili in there. There's some potato chips in there. Probably some stale crackers that were left open and put in the box. Like, not all that food is good. So it's the same concept here. It's like, not all your stories are good. They can be shit. Just admit that they're shit and do better. Like, that's what I don't get about these companies. Like, accept the criticism, like, or at least some criticism. Like, I'm not saying, oh, accept all criticism, because some people criticize in bad faith and all that. But those of us that are criticizing, you should really listen to them. Like, I think one thing to kind of go off of this too is look at the Forbidden Door card this year. How many matches are actually opening up a damn Forbidden Door? I'll tell you right now, barely any of them. You have freaking Tanahashi in a damn cage match for one. You have Mercedes doing a fatal 4-way match for her TBS title, an AEW title, mind you. Barely anything with New Japan's going on with this pay-per-view, except for like maybe a couple tag matches that have like 1 star in them. Like, yeah, you want people to be invested in your product, you gotta actually give a shit. You actually gotta try a little bit more. It shouldn't just be the in-ring work. That is fine. Like, I've said it on multiple occasions on this very show that AEW in-ring are almost untouchable, I would say. I say almost because obviously, you know, gotta leave some room for like error and botches and all that stuff. But like, they are damn near almost untouchable when it comes to their in-ring work. Promo work, a lot of people could do better, but they are getting, at least some of them are getting better. But you gotta work on the product outside of just the in-ring work. You know, like, you gotta create a story that's actually compelling to look at, you know? Yeah, John Cena's heel turn was not that good this year. Yeah, we know that. We understand that. But guess what? There was other things going around this year that are intriguing, at least. There's CM Punk's chase for the title. There's stuff that's going on with Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed. The whole Shula Fala thing is going on right now. The constant like wave that is the Judgment Day and all that. Freaking Alexa and Charlotte. I mean, that's already like 3 or 4 storylines I mentioned right there. Not even talking about the ones that branched off out of all that. Like, yeah, you just got to do good storytelling, not just storytelling for the sake of storytelling. Good storytelling.
Yeah, I agree. Like they just need to have things that like people can sink their teeth into, not just like
Yeah.
putting things together expecting us to care or whatever. They gotta at least do a little something to make some room in there for like topic of discussion.
Yeah, exactly. Besides, oh yeah, like cuz that's the thing. I'm not much of a breaking down a match kind of person, like move by move. That's just not me. Like I'll be like, "Oh yeah, this move transition was great. This move transition was bad," or like shit like that. But like I want to care about it. And like there's another news thing we'll get into later on that kind of dives into that even more when it comes to like an old head talking about how wrestling is in the current landscape. But we can touch that here in a little bit. But I guess that's my little rant just done right
Yeah,
there. I mean,
might as
yeah,
well tackle a next topic because he happens
yeah.
to show up quite a bit when it comes to shooting on the current wrestling product, and that happens to be Bret Hart. So Bret Hart recently said something when it comes to wrestling psychology is dead, and he takes his latest shot at Bill Goldberg. So that's going to be a
Damn you,
feud
Goldberg.
that's going to be going on forever. But it says right
Yeah.
here, and this is coming from Cultaholic, Bret Hart has given his opinions on the state of ring psychology in modern pro wrestling and has taken a shot at Bill Goldberg as in tradition. Exactly what I said. Hart is one of the greatest in-ring performers of all time. The Hitman is not shy about sharing his opinions on modern wrestling, saying the following at the Van Comic-Con compete with trademark dig at Goldberg. My personal feeling about professional wrestling today is that the wrestlers today, for the most part, are actors pretending to be wrestlers. Nobody puts a hold on. No one has what we used to call wrestling psychology anymore, where they work on a leg or work on pinning your opponent. There's no strategy compared to what I learned in wrestling, where you tell a story and try to make things as real and believable as you can. The real art form is never to injure anybody. Two wrestlers go out there, tell their story, and come back. I think it's still the case today. The first thing they do when they come back to the dressing room is they hug and shake hands and look at each other and go, okay, nothing's hurt. I didn't break my neck or anything. You didn't knock all my teeth out. You're just happy that you go out and give this performance. The real art is to not hurt anyone. And unfortunately, Bill Goldberg never got that memo, said Bret Hart, drawing a laugh from the crowd. Hart recently said he feels wrestlers' work today would be better if they aped his work. So when it comes to that thing, I can understand where he's coming from, but at the same time, the sport in itself, and yes, I will call it a sport,
Mhm.
has been changing over the years. So things that you see back then many years ago, that's probably not going to be how wrestling is today anymore. Unfortunately, that's
Yeah.
just how it is. As time goes by, things evolve, you adapt to new things and everything. So I can understand the mindset of him, but
Mhm.
at the same time, it's just everything, not just wrestling, but just things in general just evolve. So it's kind of
Yeah.
hard to prevent things like that, you know?
Yeah. I mean, cause like the new thing with like the whole in-ring psychology thing, like yeah, like there are some that are really good with like the move aspect of it. I mean, you could look at people like Chad Gable, for example. I think he's really good at doing things like that. But like what it's evolved to now is just this kind of and I feel bad for like using this as a phrase with it, but it's kind of become cinematic in a way and you kind of have a lot of people would note Roman Reigns for this. I kind of want to note Kevin Owens for this as well, where it's like, oh, they might have a rest hold on and they'll be either talking shit to the crowd or their opponent and all that, or like they did a huge move and they kicked out and just like, oh, what you doing here? Or like, oh, that's why that finisher just sucks. It sucks. It never ends matches. Like it's like moments like that where like the audience grasp onto, and it's just like that adds more to your character in ring than most of the other things that you could be doing. But I do get his sentiment where it's just like, okay, we could do a little bit more of the in ring storytelling, and I think that's something that AEW can do pretty well compared to WWE. It's just it depends on who's working, who's in the match, and what type of match it is, the storyline going into the match and all that. Um, yeah, and I partially agree with him. It's just, but like you said, things evolve and change over time, and this is kind of where we're at with pro wrestling in its evolution of what it is and can be.
I agree.
Yeah.
We have some news on TNA when it comes to them looking into creating a new video game. Because a new video game is one of TNA's goals, and this is according to Cultaholic. TNA Wrestling has enjoyed a strong 2025, and the company are now eyeing expansion outside of the pro wrestling world with the new video game on TNA's agenda. To date, there has been just one major TNA console game with Midway's TNA Impact Wrestling in 2008, before the quiet release of TNA Impact crossed the line on Nintendo DS in 2010. TNA President Carlos Silva told the Daily Star that a new game is very much on TNA's agenda. In terms of the game, we didn't see that as a priority in these first 6 months I've been here, but now it's gotten added to the list. Silva said, we just had to do some things to really drive and create the kind of stuff that we had with Slammiversary. Like everything in the organization, if you do too many things, you don't get anything done. So we had to concentrate on some success, but I think now coming out of some success, we could put that back on the docket and look to understand where we go with a TNA game show. Sure.
Mm.
Silva continued saying everything's open doors everywhere. Silva said, and I think it's been part of the partnership, and it's been a big benefit for TNA, and we appreciate everything that WWE and TNA has done. And they done it like with pleasure. They made it a partnership. So I'm just gonna shed some quick thoughts on this if it happens to end up being a thing. I mean, hey, that's cool. I'm not against it. I haven't really played a wrestling game since last year's 2K. I honestly haven't really been playing games as much because I had a lot of other things I was focusing. But hey, I mean, haven't had a game ever since like 2010, according to TNA Impact crossed the line. So that's like 15 years now. So depending on when this next game comes out, and since they got a lot of momentum on their belt, maybe it'll work out for them.
Yeah. Yeah, just the only thing I have to say is just be better than AEW Fight Forever.
Yeah, we don't really need to see that.
The fact I put that damn game, it's in my library on my PlayStation because it was free 1 month. I still haven't downloaded it and played it. It just sits there collecting digital dust. Oh, my poor Agumon having to just sneeze every time it looks at it.
So next, let's talk about what Watkins was alluding to earlier when it comes to a comment that Jon Moxley said. Where Jon Moxley feels like AEW is the way you remembered wrestling when you were a kid. There's something really special about All Elite Wrestling and the fans that come to our shows and buy tickets. This is a spirit of pure professional wrestling and fun and excitement and drama and the human spirit of competition and everything you go to a sporting event for. Not a lot of fluff, not a lot of BS. We're not trying to sell you anything. We're trying to have a good time. Wrestling, the way you remembered it when you were a kid, it's really a beautiful thing. We're exactly what we claim to be, and I think the fans can sense that. I think we have the greatest fans in the world. And I'm just going to say some quick comments on this again, because I don't even think I want to spend too much time talking about what he said here. I mean, times evolve. If people like a certain thing, I like a certain thing. If they like the opposite, they like the opposite. If people want to stick to the past, they could stick to the past, because you've got a lot of people out there saying things aren't the same as they used to be when they were growing up. That's why a lot of people fell out of the product. I can understand that completely. But, I mean, truth be told, it just depends on your personal preference. You don't have to particularly watch AEW. You don't have to particularly watch WWE or TNA or you got New Japan or whatever. I mean, just do what you feel comfortable with, really. Doesn't have to like have a special flair on it.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is just like I see what he's getting at, and a part of me wishes I could go to an AEW show to feel what he's talking about. Because that's the thing. It's like, because a lot of people they'll bitch and moan about the product online and all that, myself included and everything. But like, it's a whole different aesthetic and feel when you're actually at the show and everybody's just there, happy, wanting to be there and wanting to put on a show and wanting to experience everything. So I get what he's meaning, but without being at an AEW show, I can't really fully say I agree with him on that. Because again, a lot of my AEW exposure has been through the television product. And again, television product has been hit or miss a lot this year, and a lot of misses too. It's just maybe that'll change the day I'm actually able to go to a show. But until then, hey, I see what you mean, dude. Just do better in certain aspects. That's all I'll say. I'll leave it at that.
Definitely. Next thing to
Alre-
talk about.
Already went on a long rant with it, so don't need to go on anymore.
Yeah, if you want to check out what Watkins said earlier, if you happen to check out the pod after it's over, then I'll just come out and say timestamps are there. But we actually have something said about John Cena right here. Where it says John Cena has said that he is cool with whatever WWE chooses as his final opponent. It's weird because I've always just been the guy. I've just always been kind of reliable and showing up and doing whatever I'm asked. I really want this torch to be not only special, I want it to be special for the business. My goal has always been to leave WWE better than I found it. So whatever they deem appropriate to get that energy, man, I'm cool with that. So that's just the thing about John Cena. He's just he's just grown accustomed to, doing what he needs to do and in order to get the job done and everything. So if whatever they do for him is the right thing and they end up going down the right direction, then I'm happy for him. I just want the best for John Cena. I just want him to get a proper farewell. I just want things to, do well from him. Like, I'm hoping it's not like some random opponent that they throw at him. I'm hoping it's somebody that they throw at him that would actually benefit when it comes to, oh yeah, I retired John Cena in the near future, if they ever use that as something, or if they have that to really propel their career. I can't necessarily tell you who that might be when it comes to exactly like what could happen with that. I mean, it all depends really. It could be a Braun Breaker, it could be, somebody different entirely. We'll just have to wait and see what really goes on with that.
It's funny you mentioned Braun Breaker because literally that was the first name that came into my mind. I'm just like, oh, just chuck Braun Breaker after John Cena. That'd be great. It just, again, it shows the humility of John being like, yeah, I mean, I'll do whatever they ask, and whoever has to go over me, fine. I'll do the job for them. So again, he just wants to leave WWE better than how he entered it, which, I mean, it kind of is already better than when you entered it, dude. But when he does leave after all this, yeah, it should be a better product. And I'm hoping we can just scrub the whole heel turn away and just end this year on a higher note for him. And he can ride off into the sunset and make some other movies, make some more Peacemaker, and get inducted into the Hall of Fame next year, which is probably going to be the case.
I agree.
Yep.
So the next thing we're going to be talking about that we did touch on, we did mention her a little bit earlier, but this is about Shayna Baszler opening to signing with AEW. It says right here, it's coming from Cultaholic. Shayna Baszler has revealed she's open to signing Follow Elite Wrestling following her WWE release. Appearing on the Ariel Helwani show, Baszler said, "It's not a secret, we're only good fans of Marina Shafir. I have a lot of good friends there. There's been some discussion as to what the future could hold for sure." After being asked directly about if she would like to sign up for AEW, Baszler said, "I said almost exactly the same when people were talking about my UFC to WWE transition. I don't care as much of the letters behind it. I just want to practice my craft, and if I could do that alongside my friends, that's always a great place to be. So I'm not going to say a hard no to any of that." So honestly, like what I could really say here when it comes to this current situation, I mean, I would say go for it, especially if you said, because I haven't really been watching AEW, if they're continuing that
Hmm.
storyline with the Death Riders and everything, and Marina Shafir is already a part of the Death Riders, if they want to, extend that and they want to add more people or whatever, I mean, Shayna Baszler, like she mentioned, is already good friends with Marina Shafir. She would kind of fit in like a glove. And I even recall, like, months ago when we talked about her release and everything, when we just sat down and talked about all the releases that happened within the company itself, I do recall us mentioning that that would probably be the best fit for her, considering who she is, who's there, and what sort of storylines that she could follow through with.
Hmm. Yeah, I think it would be a good change of pace for her, and yeah, she would really bring some legitimacy to, or at least more legitimacy to the women's division there. And plus, like, if we do get those rumored women's tag team titles over there, I mean, her and Marina, that's a good shout to at least like be part of that discussion.
Hmm.
I mean, that it'll be something, and plus, like, it'll be something new to add to the Death Riders too if they're gonna continue going on. Like, let's add a little bit more wrinkles to their story and all that. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me in the slightest. So if you ever get a confirmation before the end of the
Yeah.
year that she's going there, wouldn't be surprised in the slightest.
Nope.
Next thing we have is talking about the maximum runtime of AEW and New Japan Forbidden Door 2025. And this is coming from Cultaholic. And it says the upcoming Forbidden Door pay-per-view would be another lengthy show from All Elite Wrestling and New Japan Pro Wrestling. AEW New Japan Forbidden Door will emanate from the O2 in London, England on Sunday, August 24th, and the pay-per-view's main card is set to go underway at 6 p.m. BST. This ultimately means the show is able to have a maximum runtime of 4 hours and 30 minutes, as the curfew for the O2 doesn't begin until 10:30 p.m. AEW likely look to avoid going beyond the curfew. However, as curfew rules produced by the O2's operators, AEG and Transport for London include fines for up to £10,000 for every minute the show goes past 10:30 p.m. according to the Sun. AEW wrestling pay-per-views have always been lengthy affairs. In 2025, with Revolution having a runtime of 4 hours and 50 minutes, but Dynasty clocked in at 4 hours and 23 minutes. Double Nothing pay-per-view was 4 hours and 30 minutes, and All In was the longest pro wrestling pay-per-view ever at 5 hours and 53 minutes. And I'm not going to read the matches for it. If
Yeah.
you want to see what that is, go ahead and see it. But yeah, I mean, not surprised by this because obviously they have to follow the curfew because they're in a different area. But I
Yeah.
mean, they tend to like have this amount of length when it comes to their programming typically.
Yeah. I'm just glad it's gonna be relatively on the shorter side. Plus it'll be starting earlier anyways. I think around our time that's either like noon or 1 o'clock on the East Coast. So that'll be a fun afternoon to just watch that and do whatever for the rest of the evening. So yeah. Yeah, I'm just glad it's not that almost 6 hour show we got with All In. I mean, granted, it was a great show, but whew, that was like 6 straight hours. And that's not even including the 2 hour pre show they had beforehand.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
But speaking about, AEW once again, and this has been a common trend for WWE as a whole, this is a report and take this with a grain of salt when it comes to who it's coming from because he has had a absolutely horrific track record. WWE is trying to put AEW out of business by the end of the current TV deal with WBD. AEW has counter-programmed several of AEW All Elite Wrestling's pay-per-views of the NXT Premier Live Event 2025, but WWE are in the process of stepping up their efforts to go head-to-head of Tony Khan's promotion. Reports have noted that as and yet unannounced AEW pay-per-view, main evented by Brock Lesnar versus John Cena, is planned for the same day as AEW All Out on September 20th. WWE are also considering moving John Cena's final match to ensure it goes head-to-head of AEW's World End. The announcer reported on the Wrestling Observer Radio that WWE is going so heavy on counter programming All Elite Wrestling as they want to put Tony Khan's promotion on a business and establish TNA as the number 2 company within the industry. WWE are afraid AEW will receive a large increase on their current US TV deal with the Warner Bros. Discovery when the deal is potentially renewed either 2027 or 2028, which could make AEW incredibly affordable. This is currently the story that's going around about what they wanted to move from December 13th to December 27th. Given all the actions and everything that's been done, of course they want to. It isn't the only thing. There's so much going on that will probably be breaking in the next couple of months when it comes to different things. They really want TNA to become the other promotion because they can control TNA, Meltzer said. This is a major full court press. They want this guy, Tony Khan, out of the box, and they know if the numbers stay good that he's going to get a renewal at much bigger number, just like they did. He's already very profitable. The number will take him incredibly profitable, and they'll never get away from him on anything like that. So they feel they need to make sure this is the last contract. So again, just going around when it comes to what's currently surrounding Tony Khan and Triple H and WWE and AEW. I mean, this is just a regular thing here. It's never going to end seeing all these counter programming. I mean, you might as well just, slot our next thing in here because I did touch on it when it comes to John Cena's match. They obviously know John Cena's last match is a big thing. People give a shit about it. This is the John Cena retirement tour. Obviously, a lot of people are going to tune in to see what John Cena does after he finally hangs up the boots and stuff because his last match is supposed to counter AEW World's End. But this might be something completely different when it comes to us thinking originally it was going to be at our Saturday night's main event. Now this could potentially be like some sort of John Cena special PLE or some just special programming for him or whatever the case may be, just to go up against AEW World's End, towards the end of the month. So what is your thoughts on this?
Yeah. I mean, it's odd because it's like on one hand, why you guys got to keep doing this to AEW, and I think we had touched, I think like a month or two ago on a report coming out saying that AEW wasn't going to be releasing the dates of their pay-per-views because of this very reason. But it's just like, here's the thing when it comes to WWE counter programming AEW. They've tried it before with like NXT. They've tried it before with Saturday Night's Main Event. And I don't think those really like succeeded in the ways that they've wanted to.
Yeah.
So now it's their chance to really do that with the main roster in full force with an actual PLE instead of like a Saturday Night's Main Event that, cuts off Goldberg's retirement speech right there at the end. So it's like we have that now to kind of look forward to because like I don't remember the last time like WWE itself actually went head to head with AEW. It might have been, I think there was like a SmackDown maybe last year where like Dynamite or Collision was on there or something, or maybe Rampage got moved up a bit. And yeah, people were just like, oh yeah, it's AEW versus WWE. It's just like, that's WWE's normal day. Y'all aren't gonna be winning much of anything, if anything. It just kind of sucks for like either like content creators like us or like people who do enjoy watching both products, especially those that are going to be in the area going to these shows. Like they're not going to be able to experience both of them, or they'll have to save one to watch later. Like that just sucks. As a consumer of the product, it's like, okay, well, which one do I choose to watch, or do I be crazy enough to watch both of them at the same time? Yeah, man, it just, but like the way to, or the reason to why they might be doing this, again, grain of salt considering who is saying most of this stuff, but the fact that they're trying to do this just to run AEW out of business, that ain't happening anytime soon.
No.
Like, The amount of money the cons have, nah, that ain't happening anytime soon at all. Like they will always find a way to put on their product, but it just I would rather the competition be the in-ring quality than in the business aspect, because the business world competitive nature, that is never pretty for anyone involved.
Definitely not. So the next thing we're going to touch on is Natalya
Yeah.
herself. When it comes to Natalya wanting to use the Nattie Neidhart character on WWE TV. So it says Natalya has reinvented herself on the independent scene in 2025, and now she wants to bring her Nattie Neidhart character to WWE TV. The WWE veteran has earned rave reviews for her work in GCW and NWA under the Nattie Neidhart name, with Natalya portraying a more focused, ruthless shooter persona. Speaking with Cauliflower Alley Club TV, Natalya said she wants to bring Nattie to WWE. I really want to bring Nattie to WWE. I definitely want to bring her to WWE. I think Nattie has to be handled very carefully, because the second we bring her to WWE, we don't have a good game plan. I think we can lose the character, so we have to handle her very carefully. Big part of the inspiration for this character came from Mick Foley when he was Mick Foley in WWE, and outside of WWE, he was Cactus Jack. I think a lot about Mick Foley and the contrast between those two characters and the creativity, where it's like he can morph back into both of them, he could do both of them, he can play both of them. I want to bring Nattie to WWE. We just have to make sure that the women of the division can handle Nattie, because I'm not sure all of them can hang with Nattie, said Neidhart. As Neidhart, Natalya has notched up 3 wins against 1 loss in 2025, overcoming Promise Braxton in Reality of Wrestling, as well as Mia Yamashita and Masha Slamovich at Josh Bennett's Bloodsport. So that's just extra stuff I read right there, but I wouldn't mind if she were to do this, because I've been seeing a lot of good reception with that. So I am honestly not opposed to it. I think it could definitely benefit her character in terms of the next step for her. Maybe if she does go forward with this character, we could see something, different entirely. I'm not against it.
Oh no, I'm not either. And I mean, just what I saw from her stuff with Bloodsport, it's a more intense Natalya. It's a more focused Natalya, and that is a very dangerous Natalya. Because like, when you think of the WWE kayfabe of it all, obviously she's a technical wrestler, but like having somebody with her caliber being focused and a little more aggressive, that's very dangerous for anybody involved. And again, like just what she's shown doing that stuff in the indies or at Bloodsport and all that, I mean, yeah, that is a very dangerous character to have on your roster. Maybe that's why they're keeping Nattie Neidhart away and just keeping Natalya safe and sound in WWE. Like that's a monster with Nattie Neidhart. That's something that I
Yeah,
wish we had like years ago for Nattie.
definitely. And speaking of
Yeah.
years ago, we have somebody named Torrie Wilson that was a part of the Attitude era. And she recently came out and said that she still has 1 match in her. I feel like if you've ever been in wrestling and the door is never completely closed, but people ask me a lot, do you have another match in you? And I'm like, yes, of course. Like, if something awesome came along, how would I not have that in me? I wouldn't want to go back and do something that didn't make people go, oh, wow, she is an athlete, right? So I don't have much to say about this, but if they find something for her, I mean, that's nice to
Yep.
see. Other than that, I mean, I do agree with her in terms of if there's something there, at least come up with a proper game plan instead of just popping in there just to say hi, expect everything to follow.
Yeah, like don't let it be just a Rumble appearance or something. Like have her do something more, even if it's in like a tag capacity. Like that'd be great to see. Because hey, so, Torrie Wilson, you were my childhood crush. I was a Torrie Wilson guy growing up. So seeing you on my screen again is always a pleasure. And yeah, if you say you got one more match in you, let's see it, girl. Let's see what you can do at your age. Because yeah, she doesn't seem like she's aged a day since like 2003, and
Oh
it's
yeah,
insane. Like, yeah, let's see what you could do in the ring. Let's throw you in there with somebody. I know Chelsea Green's still looking for divas to fight and all that. Why not? Why not Chelsea Green versus Torrie Wilson? Let's see how that goes.
And speaking of seeing how things go, this is something that is definitely interesting that we're going to be talking about next when it comes to former AEW talent wins longest ever pro wrestling match. This is a new unofficial record has been set for the longest match in the history of professional wrestling. The contest was won by former AEW talent Stu Grayson. Evil Uno's Mystery Wrestling and C4 Wrestling partnered for a 16-person Cyber Necito match. Don't know how to pronounce that. It began on Monday, August 11th in Quebec, Canada, and the match lasted 21 hours, 49 minutes, and 12 seconds before Stu Grayson won the pinfall by following a nightfall to Junior Benito. Match passed a recognized world record for longest wrestling match of all time, set by Inheme Pro Wrestling in 2021, a match that clocked in at 21 hours, 44 minutes, and 34 seconds. While the Inheme Pro Wrestling match is recognized in the Guinness World Records, the Mystery Wrestling match won't be recognized due to the Guinness allegedly asking for a 5-figure sum to make the record official.
Ooh.
That's honestly that's just insane. I don't know how
Yeah.
you could do something like that. I'm sorry. That's a little much.
Yeah, like first of all, 5-figure sum to make the record official.
Yeah.
That alone is just bonkers.
Oh yeah.
But even to just wrestle for, because I remember wrestling, and again, I know people, the whole thing with wrestling, like pro wrestling and all that, but whatever. Hear me out with this. Like wrestling in high school, like our conditioning was, you had to train for like a 9-minute match. Yeah, there were 3 rounds and all that, but you needed to have the stamina to really like lay in on somebody for 9 minutes straight. And I know they probably had a few rest holds here and there for all that. I mean, it seems like if you were just watching 24 hours of hardcore, like the hardcore title getting defended and all that, I mean, I feel like that's what this match was or could have been. But the fact they went on for 21 hours, like over almost 22 hours, that's crazy. Because it's just like, oh, you guys quote unquote wrestled for like into the wee hours of the night, into like the next day. Like there was no sleep had here. How did you guys do that? How did you guys eat and like drink water or anything? Like, was it just like walking by somebody who was part of the crowd and like taking their hot dog or something?
Yeah.
Like, how did they? I kind of want to look into this and see like how did they pull this off? Like, and especially to keep people's attention for that long. Damn. Like, I know we had spoken a little bit earlier about like, oh, the length of things, but like 21 hour, almost 22 hours of a wrestling show, of a wrestling match itself. Like, y'all better be doing something to keep me entertained if I'm sitting there for like 22 hours watching this.
I don't know if I would have it in me. I'd probably just end up passing out or just walking away.
Yeah, it'd be something to put on to fall asleep to, that's for sure.
So this was a topic we were going to talk about last week, but there is some news surrounding the whole thing behind ESPN and WWE, where it says right here, ESPN is interested into the rights to the WWE library. This is after acquiring the rights to broadcast WWE PLE's output from 2026. It seems as though ESPN would also be interested in carrying WWE's library as part of their services. WWE live events are set to move to ESPN's new direct-to-consumer streaming service, and although the WWE library was not part of the deal, ESPN chairman Jimmy told the Ringer's Pressbox podcast that the broadcaster would be interested in acquiring the library. Yeah, we're always interested in the content of that quality. I would tell you that we will have the archival rights for the events that will be airing, but yes, in terms of their library, we currently would be interested if and when those rights are available, said Jimmy. Peacock currently has rights to the WWE library in the United States, but the current deal with WWE is set to expire in March 2026, with WWE having broadcast agreement in place with Netflix and now ESPN. Logic says the library will likely end up with either of the two powerhouses. So yeah, that made sense to me because I always thought like whenever things came together, they were probably going to throw it all on Netflix anyway, because I mean, that's how it is in other parts of the world. They already
Yeah.
have the library on there, so I would assume that would just be a regular thing. I mean, it's already in the system. Why not just do it like that and have it all
Yeah.
said and done with? But if they end up acquiring the rights to whatever, I wouldn't be surprised, because if you want to have like extra content outside of watching a WWE, PLE, and ESPN, you could throw that in there too.
Yeah. Oh, easily. Like, and kind of like what you said, I mean, they're already kind of rolling out the WWE library on Netflix internationally. Just keep to that. Just flip the little switch that adds
Yeah.
the the United States in there, and we'll be Gucci, you know. But because that's the other thing too, they've been utilizing that WWE Vault a bit, and they have uploaded some older shows on there. I don't know if they're still going to be doing that with some of the very early shows, but I don't know. We'll have to see how everything plays out here, huh?
And our last story that we'll talk about with you guys tonight before we end our show is about Bret Hart. So he showed up again in the podcast tonight. So it says right here, Bret Hart wasn't the only guest to find himself without a seat at the WWE SummerSlam. Bret Hart expressed his unhappiness with WWE this week as the three-time Hall of Famer realized the company doesn't fully appreciate him after he was invited to SummerSlam only to find himself without a seat inside MetLife Stadium. The situation wasn't necessarily an issue if only affected the Hitman. However, as Brian Alvarez reported on the Wrestling Observer Live, that several guests at SummerSlam ended up not having seats. They've been selling a lot of tickets lately. It's actually been over a year that a lot of the shows, there is no comp rule. We're talking like main roster wrestlers are unable to get their family in because there's no seats. They sold everything. He was not the only person that this happened to. Noelle Foley was there, and apparently the same thing happened to her. Like, they told her she had a seat, she got there, and then she ended up in the press box because they didn't have a seat for her. You guys may know Noelle Foley is Mick Foley's daughter. My basic point, I don't want to defend them because they shouldn't have done it, but they were specifically targeting Bret. He was not the only one that this happened to at the show, obviously. That said, don't tell someone to come if you don't have specifically reserved an actual seat for them, especially someone like Bret Hart. Yeah, it's ridiculous, but it happened. It happened to several people there, apparently. So I'm just going to chime in and say this. I feel like if you're bringing in people like Bret Hart or like Noelle Foley, if Mick, and you know, things along the lines of that, especially like a Bret Hart character, you would have like a seat reserved for somebody like that. Like, you wouldn't be trying to like fill up the entire thing. Like, this is something that you would have in store probably before you start even selling tickets or actually like thinking about it. Like, this is something that you would talk to Bret about, be like, hey, you know, you could have the best seat in the house, or, you know, whatever the case may be, whoever you want to sit so you feel comfortable and watch the show. So like that I don't understand, because he's one of the OGs. He's been there forever. And the fact that, you know, you're doing something like this for whatever reason, you're saying this and that, and the seat's not available, you know, that's just wasting somebody's time.
Yeah, like they were able to get seats for the and I don't mean to downplay them with this, but I mean, they got seats for the Dudleys and the Hardys,
Yeah.
and they didn't have seats for freaking Bret Hart.
That's something.
Come on, man.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. That's something that you would have already planned out. Wouldn't have to worry about stressing over, oh, okay, let me open up a seat, let me do this, let me do that. Oh, it's just very weird to me. Decided to head down that direction.
Yeah, it's very weird, and if it is true, again, take a lot of these Meltzer stories with a grain of salt. But I mean, if it is true, man, that is some petty shit when it comes to Triple H and Bret Hart. If that's the case, like, that is some. Mm, mm,
Definitely is some petty shit. Like, that's just something that you should know in the back of your head before you start putting everything together.
Yep. Yep.
And yeah, guys, that's episode 26 of Grappling with the Week. I hope you guys enjoyed tonight's show because there definitely was a lot of interesting topics to touch on, especially when it comes to the one that we just talked about, which just seems really random because they should know that. And also the things going on with
Yeah.
John Cena is going to be very interesting because that is a pretty big thing now going on in WWE. So interested to see where things head with him, what sort of decisions they make with that. But do you have any thoughts before I close out the show?
No, I mean we had some pretty big topics to talk about this week. The only other thing I do want to point out, just like stay tuned for next week. We do have a few announcements that we'll get to when Monday comes around. Because yeah, we got some stuff to just mention around that time. But yeah, just leave a comment down below if you're watching the VOD, if you're still here live. What's up, chat? Let us know how you're feeling about everything. And who knows, maybe if your comment's good enough, or if it's reached the pinnacle of some sort of benchmark that you've had, maybe we'll check out your comments later on in a later episode of Grappling with the Week, or any of your concerns that you have. Yeah, we'll mention those in a fun little Q&A segment on the show. But yeah, I mean that's really all I've got. I mean, we got SmackDown tomorrow and then Raw on Monday, so yeah, pretty easy week coming up.
It's true. So I want to thank you guys for listening to Grappling with the Week. And before we head out, as always, be sure to follow us on all of our social media platforms. As you guys can see on the stream itself, you have our ats there for Anime We Studio, which is the company account. You have Legend D Vash to see what he's doing. You have at Drop This Box, which is me to see what I'm up to. Watkins MW, see what Watkins is up to. The official Weebs of the Ring account, hashtag Weebs of the Ring to talk to us during, before, or after our shows, of course. And also, some of our podcast feeds are up on iTunes, they're on Spotify. We're still in the process of putting them all together. So not everything up to date is there, but in due time, things will be there, and you guys could go back and rehear and listen to our thoughts on what's currently going on with that. So be sure to look forward to that. But hey, it's pretty cool just to know that we are on iTunes. That's just a pretty cool feeling. I never would imagine that us doing this would ever be on an iTunes or Spotify one day, but here we are. We're slowly, little by little, getting to the big leagues. So that's pretty cool. And as always, feedback is always appreciated, as we are nothing without you guys tuning in. Grappling with the Week is presented by Anime Studio. Thanks to our production team for all of your hard work. Thank you for joining us, and shout out to Stu for helping us with the recording of this podcast. Have a good night, everybody, and we will see you guys for tomorrow's coverage of Friday SmackDown. See you guys then.
And cheese does not belong on pancakes.
No, it does not.
Not.
Or does it?